Armory is brought to you by DZR. DZR creates content and communities for gamers around the world. For a list of our other podcasts, search DZR on iTunes or visit us at dzrgaming.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to DZR's The Armory. We're going to take an in-depth look into the division, the gear, the guns, the strategy we need to take back New York. Hey, I'm your host, Hoagie. I'm really happy to have you guys back this week. I have a really special guest with me, Marco Style. How are you, Marco?
Really special guest, huh? Really
special guest.
Making me feel special right from the get-go. I'm always good, dude. Thanks for asking, but I never have a bad day in my life. You already know by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get started, dude. Let's get this thing going.
Cool. Well, obviously, I wanted to have you on. You were over in Sweden. We'll get to that in a few minutes.
Yep.
We've had a bunch of information about 1.4 come out and what that's going to look like for a game. And so I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. But before I get to that, I kind of want to just hear your story a little bit. Most people have seen your best in class video and your Tanktician video are like required watching for Division players. But how did you get started in YouTube, and how did you get started in Division?
How did I get started on YouTube? Well, that's like 3-4 years back right now, where I just played a game called Halo Wars. I was pretty good at it. I was, I think, the number one player for a couple of years in that game.
Crazy.
But I just played that for fun a lot. I never really did a lot of it stuff. I never really did YouTube, but then a lot of people wanted me to make videos about it, you know, to show off how I did certain things. So they bought recording equipment for me.
That's crazy.
And that's how I started off doing YouTube things. So I kind of rolled into it. Like I was a gamer, and then I just rolled into YouTube. And then the Division, or what's it called? Halo Wars, the other game I was playing, that started dying off a little bit. And I was looking for another game that I could really, you know, put my claws in. I was initially looking for a new GTA, but then it wasn't announced, I think. And then I saw the Division, and it's like, hey, this game looks pretty similar. Let's look what this is all about. And then I started making videos on the Division, because I think the reason that I started making videos about it is because I couldn't find any information. So I decided to search for it myself and then put that information out there. And that's how it all started. And then, you know, I just kept making videos and kept growing on YouTube, so to speak.
Nice. Now, I mean, I was just looking at your numbers the other day. You have 150,000 subs on your channel.
Something around that, yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Do you do other YouTube content, or is it just that Marco Style NL channel?
No, it's this channel doesn't make enough money for me to just do that as full time. So I'm actually also making videos for a channel called TGN, where I edit a lot of the content that they do. It's a big channel with almost 1 million subscribers, and they want to put out 2 videos a day. Now, I know how much work a video is to make, so they obviously have a couple guys like me who then edit their videos that they voice over, so to speak.
Nice. So what does TGN do?
TGN is just top 10 best video games this, top 10 Easter eggs there, just, you know, kind of very popular top 10 and top 5 videos, those kind of things.
Cool. I want to ask you, you know, obviously most people know you because of your YouTube channel, and you've made some really important videos, I would say, for the people that are looking to optimize their builds and get better in the game. I mentioned 2 of them before, specifically your Best in Class video and your Tankticians video. Well, I want to ask you about your Tankticians video,
okay?
Because it was, from the outside perspective, when you put that out, that was after 1.1 or after 1.2? Do you remember?
The very first one.
Yeah.
I think I make multiple videos. I made multiple videos about the Tactician build. But the very first one was just after 1.2, just when Final Measure came out. So yeah, that's 1.2.
That's right.
And that was very basic back then. I even had some rolls with electronics instead of stamina. It wasn't very optimized. It was just, you know, this is a very good thing to do. Just get skill power and you know, stamina, and well, there you go.
There was after that you put out the 700K video, or was that the same one?
Yeah, no, that was after that. Like, that was, I think it was 1.3. And that's when I just started min-maxing it. I played Falcon Lost 80 to 90 times just to get the gear set pieces. It was kind of required to do that. You know, you needed to do that in order to get those pieces. You could have been lucky. But yeah, I put a lot of effort into that one. Just really trying to perfect it, so to speak.
The reason I'm asking about that one is because I think that either help change the meta of the game or symbolize the change of the meta of the game. And so what was it kind of like? I mean, after you made that video, you saw tons more people rolling with stamina and just boosting their toughness. So how do you think, I mean, I realize this is kind of like awkward to ask, but like, how do you think that video change actually the meta of the game, and what's that kind of like as you look back and you say, wow?
I'm not gonna say that I was the first one to do it, because there's always some people that are already running around with that kind of build that don't have a YouTube channel, or they don't have the audience. So it's just, I did find it myself. I'm like, hey, this is a really good combination, and this is works with that. And I'm pretty sure I wasn't the first one to find it, but yes, after I put those videos out and showed off how powerful it was, I really saw a lot more people started running with it, and it was kind of funny. But it didn't really bother me back then. I think right now it's started becoming an issue, sort of.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons 1.4 is coming out, right?
Yes, that's why 1.4 is coming out.
Cool. Well, hey, what about, I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you know 1.4, we're in the middle of September right now. 1.4 is still somewhere in October away. We don't know. We had an awesome state of the game the last couple of days, kind of revealing some of those details. But Marco, before even 1.4 was announced, we had 1.3 come out, all the weapons balances. And then they just the studio was dead for a few weeks because of different things going on with vacations. Before they even announced 1.4, what were your thoughts on the game in general? Were you saying, oh no, this game is not doing great?
Before 1.4 was announced, I thought they were just going to go with the next DLC, which is survival, I guess. I think if they would have gone that route and they wouldn't have fixed all those things, I really don't know if I would have still been playing The Division right now, because the reason that I am excited and that I'm still playing is because I know what's coming with 1.4. I had tons of videos in the past about all the issues with The Division, and this doesn't work, and then this is bugged, and that is, that needs to be fixed. And I'm going to be honest with you here. The couple weeks before I went to Massive to start working on 1.4 with them, I didn't really play The Division anymore. I started playing other games because there just wasn't much left for me there, and I just got tired of all the issues.
You mean you don't want to run Falcon Lost again for the 100th time?
No, it was, oh my God, please no. It's not just that though. It's like you can't PvP because it just doesn't work. There's like too many broken sets that, ruin the experience. There's so many bugs and glitches that it just comes down to whoever gets bugged out first that loses the game. It's just, there's just so many problems with it right now, and I really think I would have just left if it wasn't for 1.4. I'm super happy that they decided to go the route that they did.
Now, obviously, you were in Sweden. You can't talk about all the things that you were, you heard there. But when you heard about 1.4 being announced, what was your excitement level? Were you on the train saying, "Hey, they were going to fix this game 100%," or is it like, "Hey, let's wait and see"? It didn't really work
like that, because at first I didn't really know what to expect from 1.4, so I wasn't super excited. I was kind of expecting, some general bug fixes and stuff like that. But when I was over in Sweden, we saw so many different things that they're working on, so many different aspects of the game, keeping in mind every type of player, the hardcore player as well as the casual, and just trying to fix the game on every front, so to speak. That's when I got excited again, and that's when I really started, diving into it, trying to come up with ideas, giving feedback right there. And when I got home, I just wanted to play 1.3 again in preparation for 1.4, because I believed in the game again, so to speak. And I hope that everybody here is going to see the same, because as you said, some information got released. That's only scratching the surface, because there's so much more to come.
I was thinking that, the other day as they released the first day of the game, really talking about the changes, I was saying, hey, we don't even know when the release date is. I mean, there's going to be probably, another 3 state of the games like this that are just completely game changers on what the game is going to be like going forward?
Maybe. I think for the real information, for the big stuff, they're probably gonna do like that special report. That it did get delayed. I think the special report. I don't know to what date yet. But I say give them all the time they need.
Absolutely.
I don't mind waiting a couple extra weeks if that's what it takes.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, hey, we're going to dive into kind of your experience in Sweden, but I want to ask you a few questions about that. When did they reach out to you? You know, they announced the Elite Task Force. Was it right that day or soon after that they reached out, or was it before?
No, it wasn't right that day. It was a couple days after. I think it was on Saturday that they asked me. And I just said yes, because I already made clear in the video that I made about the topic that I really wanted to go. I had a lot of ideas and I wanted to bring them to the table. So yeah, I think it was Saturday that they emailed me.
And you're obviously in the Netherlands. How long of a trip is it over to Sweden for you?
I think an hour and 20 minutes, so it was like super fast. Yeah, no issues
That's
there.
Awesome.
Yes.
Now, is that by plane or boat or
no,
what?
No, it was by plane. No.
Okay.
By boat, that would have taken so long.
Well, I'm on the East Coast, so I don't know how those things work. I know there's a bunch of ferries that go between Scandinavia and.
No, it was a plane flight from Amsterdam to Copenhagen, and I actually had a hotel in Copenhagen as well. I didn't stay in Malmo, and then every day I would travel from Copenhagen to Malmo for about an hour with a bus. Nice. With all the other members of the Elite Task Force, which was really cool. Okay.
Well, tell me about what that time looked like. You know, I don't know if you knew who was going to be there before, or you know those guys. Walk me through what those days look like. Obviously, again, you can't talk about what you guys exactly talked about, but kind of walk through what the days look like, where you guys were, what the experience was like.
A very cookie cutter day, so to speak, is you wake up at 8, you get some breakfast quickly, you take a shower if you smell bad, then you get on the bus at like 9, the bus drives you over to Massive at 10, and then once you're there, you're working there on the game, on different topics, talking to developers, trying to come up with ideas, discussing certain topics. They already had like a pre-made plan for us. So one day we're gonna talk about the skills, and the other day we're gonna talk about that, and the other day we're gonna talk about that. Just a whole lot of different topics, right? And none of those things are necessarily gonna change. At least that's what they told us. But they just wanted to talk about things. They wanted to figure stuff out with us and see if the problems that they thought the game had were the same as the problems that we thought the game had. And then we would do that until around 6 or 7 p.m., just all day straight. We had lunch break, which but usually you can even see in the pictures that they took and that are posted online. I just had my lunch during the meetings because I just wanted to spend the whole day talking about the game, basically.
You've been getting so much flack for having food in your hand at all times. They were just badly timed photos, I guess, huh?
I'm just trying to make up an excuse to why I was eating all day. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to justify that.
That's okay.
No,
that's okay.
No, but basically we did that until like 7 p.m. and then we went out to dinner with the developers and the whole Elite Task Force. And we did that every evening. And then we went back to the hotel at 10 p.m. We arrived back at the hotel at 11. And then we could choose to go out in Copenhagen or go back into the hotel to sleep. In the first night, I did actually go out. But then the nights after that, I just didn't because I was just so tired from the whole day. Because I'm used to like 10 to 12 hours of sleep. You know, when I'm home, I go to bed at 3 a.m. and I wake up at 3 p.m. every day. It's like living the dream. But while I was there, I had like 7 hours of sleep. And I felt a difference because I've been on my good schedule for about a year now. And then when I'm there, it's you notice it, and I was just tired every day. At the end of the day, you notice it. The whole workshops, the whole experience there, it was very productive. I would say there wasn't ever a time where I thought, I went over here for no reason.
I was going to ask you more about the mood of the environment. I mean, these developers have been working on a game and put out a game, which is an insane amount of work. And a few months in, they've had some really big success. I think they are weren't they the largest opening new IP in history or something like that?
Maybe the largest new IP for Ubisoft. I don't think for
Ubisoft. You're right. You're right. But I mean, they make this awesome game, and then it goes a few months, and it has some hiccups, and then suddenly it's this place where it's like, oh wow, we have to do some major changes. So, what was the mood of the environment of the developers, the team? Did it feel like a really productive workspace that they're 100% in, or?
Yeah, no, they were very motivated to make those changes. Very eager to listen to what everybody had to say. Very positive overall about about the whole thing. And of course, it's rough when you have to hear that, this part of the game just straight up sucks. But they didn't pretend that wasn't the case. They really just said, yes, you're right. We need to fix this. And they really put their heads together to come up with great solutions. I think the work environment, the whole atmosphere there, it was great, to be honest. Either they're great actors or they're just, a great team overall. It's one of those two.
Was there anybody that we haven't seen on the State of the Game, a developer or someone that we haven't seen that you said, wow, this person's awesome?
There's so many people, so many developers that aren't on the State of the Game. The studio is still quite big. I don't know if I can give away numbers, so I'm just not going to do that.
Okay.
But yeah, we talked to so many developers that never even made it on the State of the Game that you guys probably don't even know, that are all very motivated and very involved in the whole thing. It's just the community developers are sometimes a special guest, I guess, that are taking place on the State of the Game.
Well, yeah, I mean, they talk about it on the stream, is that these games are so complex that there's a different developer for loot and for missions and for environments and for gameplay. It's like there are so many things going on in this game. It's not one simple cookie cutter thing that happens.
Exactly.
It's super complex.
Yes, there's so many different aspects. And you have the designers, but then the ones who design how the whole system works, I don't know if they necessarily know how to code the way that they want to work. So you have one guy for the IDs and then one guy to execute the IDs. That's kind of the whole thing about it. There's multiple people working on one specific thing, so to speak.
Well, hey, tell us more about Hamish and Yannick. We see their faces a lot. They are the community managers, and they get a lot of flack also. And, we always see them. What are those guys like in, just hanging out? Obviously, you got
They're cool guys. They're cool guys. It's just, you can talk with them about pretty much like everything game related. They're also fun to drink with, but it counts. They're just people. They're just people. It's not like they're so much different because they're the community developers. Being a community developer is their job, and they're doing a good job at it. But they're able to take a lot of negative comments during State of the Games where people are like State of the Shame or State of the Lame, like those kind of things. But they are able to laugh those things off and just focus on what needs to be done. Outside of off camera, I think they're just cool people. Or again, really good actors for those couple days that I was over there. But I don't think that's the case.
Fun. Well, what about the other people that were there in the Elite Task Force? Did you know any of those guys before they got to Sweden? Have you connected with any of them?
Yes. I knew a couple of them. I knew, for example, Deep Fried Dave from his podcast. I knew Chappie. There were a couple guys that connected to me through Twitter before I got over there, so that's how I knew them. A whole lot of people that I already knew about, but also a lot of people that I had never seen or never heard about before. That's probably because I think only 5 or 6 of us that we were content creators, like me and Streamer House and Chappie and Deep Fried Dave. Those people, those are content creators, so that's how I know about them. But the other ones, those are just players that played the game just for an incredible amount of time, more than I did, because I only got like 850 hours in.
only 850 hours.
Such a casual. But those people there, they had like 1,300 hours in. Like those, I think there were also a couple people that didn't have played the game for that amount of time. Just a couple hundred. There were also some more casual players there. I think they just grabbed an audience that kind of represented all aspects of the whole player base. And those players weren't necessarily content creators at the same time.
Now, I saw a breakdown of the kind of players that were there. Deep Fried Dave did a post the other day, and talked about it. It seemed like there's a lot of PvP guys there. Did you feel like there was a lean towards one kind of play style, or PvP
Yeah,
or
a lot
PvE?
a lot of people, they were PvP players, and they kept PvP in mind with every change that was made.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the whole update is going to be focused around PvP. It's actually the opposite, where PvP is not being worked on at all. Although, with all the bugs and all the changes, like all the bug fixes, I should say, and all the changes that are coming, PvP is going to be affected very, very heavily. In fact, I'm already working on theory crafting new builds even before the information's out. So,
Yeah.
yes, PvP will be factored in with a lot of these changes because of the fact that so many people played PvP a lot.
Something that's been brought up a few times is that, there was some big time content creators, Streamer House, you, Chappie. I know some other people were invited that couldn't be there. But I get the feeling that you guys were actually listened to and you were heard, that it wasn't just a PR move to get good vibes going towards 1.4.
No, not at all. I had that idea because I was thinking when I was going over there, like, what is so important that they have to bring us over there that we cannot do while we're just sitting at home? Like, it can't be beta testing or PTR testing or anything, because they could just send us the files at our computers at home and we would be able to do that. It can also not be just discussion, because we would be able to do that through the forums. But I was a little bit wrong on both of those things, because being able to give feedback live and then talk about things live and test stuff out and then make changes to the game live, you cannot do those things from home. And it was just really great to see, they presented an ID, we gave feedback on it, they worked on the ID, and they presented a new version of the ID. Or we presented IDs, they looked at possible problems with those IDs, and then together we tried to implement something like that to make one part of the game better. And I think it was a group effort. I don't think that anyone did anything by themselves, but it was definitely not a PR stunt.
Yeah.
We went over there. We talked about the game a lot. We discussed about the game. We made changes to the game there. And now it just comes down to how Massive is going to execute it.
I mean, if you think about it, they've done a lot of reaching out into the community. I mean, even bringing you guys over. If they didn't take some of the changes in through all the effort that they've taken, it feels like it wouldn't even be possible. I mean, they've sent you guys over to Sweden. They've been talking about Reddit posts and forums and surveys. Like, either they're wasting tons of time on doing those things just to be a PR move, or they're actually taking things into account. And like you said, it just feels like you guys are being listened to, and the community is being listened to also. So that makes me happy. I
think your answer can be seen by just looking at the result. You don't know a lot about 1.4 yet. You know a couple things. But when you see the final results, then I think it's going to become pretty clear whether this was a PR stunt or not.
Yeah. You put out a video before you went to Sweden talking about some of the changes. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? What were some of the big things that you wanted to see before you went to Sweden, and some of the things that you really cared about moving forward in the game?
Well, for instance, I wanted to see a whole lot of reworked talents and gear sets in the game. A lot of them just don't work right now. A lot of the bonuses are really bad. And I wanted to see that change. I wanted to see a play environment where almost every talent or almost every gear set can be good in certain conditions, and that are not just too situational. I, of course, also wanted to see the NPCs doing not so much damage, and that all comes back to players being able to have way too much damage mitigation. I wanted to see some changes to the skills and the way that, the uptime of those, how they are way too long. I wanted to see some balancing to the gear stats. I mentioned that skill power, for example, is rolled way too high. Skill haste is rolled way too low. There's a lot of stats that aren't really that strong right now. So basically, like a whole balance patch, like a place where everything, like every build, can be viable under the right conditions. And that's what we do not have right now.
Yeah.
And just a more fun game, so to speak. This game is a looter, but it's also a game where you build your character. And right now there's only 1, 2, or 3 ways how you can build your character, which makes the game very repetitive. It makes it very mundane. The PvP isn't a whole lot of fun because everybody's only running around with 2 or 3 gear sets. Those kind of things. Everybody's going for brutal, deadly, self-preserved, or what am I saying? Brutal, deadly, responsive. And then for Alpha Bridge, they want to have like fierce and a couple of other talents. I don't know, competent maybe in the third slot. I don't know all the talents by head because I don't run a damage build, but that's pretty much what people do, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I know another question about the kind of game that you think this is. Now, again, the DZ was kind of an interesting idea as they started because it was a non-arena based PvP land that also had NPCs in it. And now they're actually, they just announced the other day that they're putting open world bosses, the PvP bosses, back into circulation. We have HVTs, we have underground, we have incursions. What do you think they want this game to be? Solo play, group play, squad, DPS grind, PvP, min-maxing. What do you think? Now, I would say this. Obviously, you can't go into stuff they talked about specifically in your meetings, but do you have any sense of where do you think they want this game headed?
I think they want all of those things. They want people to be able to enjoy solo play in the PvE areas, but they also want people to being able to enjoy the 4-man group PvP zone. They want people to enjoy every aspect of the game and want there to be something for every type of player. And I think they're going to handle that. They're going in the right direction with that by adding back the named enemies in the PvE area. Because people want to farm, but they don't necessarily want to play missions all the time or want to play underground or HVTs. Maybe they just want to roam around like you would do in the Dark Zone, but then they want to do it in the PvE area. So, having the option to just have it's almost like having a Dark Zone without players in it, if you put it like that. And you don't have to extract your gear. Like once you're looted, it's yours. And I think that's going to cater to a lot of players, especially the more casual ones that maybe don't want to go into the Dark Zone, but do want to have that PvE experience.
And now with the world tiers happening is that they can go in and have fun and not worried about getting slammed by level 35s up in DZ06 or DZ05.
Yeah, like level 35 enemies are completely removed from the game. It only goes up to level 33 now. It means that people can just, even if you're let's say your gear score 160 and you don't feel that comfortable yet fighting level 32 NPCs, you can just tune it back down to level 31 or even level 30. You get worse loot for it, but you will always get loot that is going to be an upgrade for you, unless you're playing content that is way too easy for you, so to speak.
Yeah. I think they even said that it's going to be relevant gear per that tier. So if I'm shooting in world, tier 1, I'm not going to get relevant gear, but they're going to, as the different levels increase, they're actually going to give more. So in challenging, they're not going to give better gear. They're going to give more of the better gear.
Yes.
And so that's going to be interesting to see.
The item level of gear is going to be tied to the world tier you're playing. So when you're playing in world tier 4, you're never going to see anything below item level 33. Everything's going to be 229, unless it's a purple, of course, or lower.
Hey, it's really interesting what you say, as we're talking about the PvE world, because, one of the most popular things is what's the DZ loop map? Where's the loop? Where do I need to go? Mm-hmm. And I've run that, and I've had some fun times in the DZ, but I'm not in there a lot. But when I am, it's just like, hey, let's run the same loop for 2 hours. And it's going to be really awesome to see the world opened up again. HVTs did that a little bit, but I think this is going to take it to a whole new level where we're able to roam around the city and really see some pretty,
I'm pretty sure that somebody in the first day is going to come up with a loop of how to farm the bosses in the open world with the most efficiency.
True.
I think the respawn time is going to be a bit longer than the bosses in the PvP zone. So you're probably going to have to do some walking or do some fast traveling in between. I don't know if you can kill all the bosses and then go back to the first one right away. But there's definitely going to be a loop. Hey, this is how to farm all the bosses in a day with in the least amount of time. I think somebody's going to have that in the very first day already.
Yeah, that's probably true. It'll be interesting to see as they pop up between the different things that we're doing in-game already. With HVTs or even running missions and how that's going to, those bosses are going to,
Yes, I think
evolve.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Like PvE players, they can just select a couple of HVT missions right now. They can just select a couple of maybe campaign missions. They can just walk in between all of the two. They will find named bosses. They will have stuff to do that isn't PvP related, which is it's why we made this change, right? It's why Massive did that. It's the whole reason for it.
Yeah. I mean, and some of my favorite missions were the side missions for bounty kills, where you'd go in and kill a few lieutenants and then have to go take the boss on. It's going to be cool to see some of those guys back. And it'd be nice, too, that we could get, maybe select into some of those side missions again. I don't think I'm going to go after virus scanners again, but it'd be nice to see some of those side missions pop up.
I don't know if those side missions are going to pop up, though. Is that something they said? Because from my understanding, you just have...
I'm just saying another idea to add content in for replayability down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what is some of your favorite experiences so far in the game? We have all these things happening, incursions and missions, and what's kind of if you have one experience that you've enjoyed the most, what would that be?
I guess it has to be the Dark Zone, even though right now PvP kind of sucks. But there used to be a time when I would just play the Dark Zone, get adrenaline whenever I would start shooting at someone and go rogue, and then play the whole game of cat and mouse. That was the most amazing shit I've played almost in my whole gaming history combined, because it was just so much fun. And I hope to get that back, obviously, right now that I know every in and out of the Dark Zone, every in and out of every player. I don't think I'll have that same feeling anymore, ever. Mm-hmm. But I hope that we can at least bring PvP back to something better than random explosions all the time, or being put on fire every 2 seconds, or that kind of stuff.
Now, I would say I'm going to ask you if you think there's going to be an arena in PvP down the road. Now, I know you can't talk about what you heard at Massive, but before you went to Massive, if you're going to answer that question, do you think they're going to put some kind of arena play for PvP in
with
this
game?
Patch?
Well, I don't think so. Not at all. I don't think you can expect it with upcoming DLCs either. I don't know. I just don't see it happening yet. But who knows, right? Who knows?
Do you think the arena kind of style play would fit in this game, or is it not that kind of game?
I think it would be pretty cool. I mean, you can make everything fit. Obviously, you gotta have normalized builds, and maybe skills should be pickups that you can get from the maps. Like maybe a power position has the pulse ability, which can then mark your enemies around the map. Those kind of things. Rules would have to be a bit different, and skills would have to work a bit different. But I think it's definitely possible. I think a competitive arena mode is possible in almost every game, I would say.
You just have to work out the balance.
Yeah, you just have to make enough changes so that it works. What
other kind of end game activities do you want to see in this game? A lot of people have played Destiny or World of Warcraft, or, in Call of Duty, it's all about the PvP at the end. But what kind of do you feel a different way, a certain way that they're going to go with this game? Are we going to see more complex raids or incursions? Is it going to be more
would like to
PvP?
see more complex incursions with very difficult mechanics and that kind of thing. I also think it would be cool to have some other gameplay type of ideas, like for example, battle royale type of games where you just jump from the sky or parachute into the map. It's kind of like H1Z1, and just try to be the last one surviving. That would be super sick as well. Those kind of things are really what I'm looking forward to the future for the Division.
That's awesome. One of the big things that they talked about at the top of the State of the Game the other day was time to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you are obviously, you said you put 800 hours into the game so far.
Yeah.
And other players have played more than that.
Yep.
Now, for you guys, and a lot of people have gotten to near max gear score and, some pretty good builds. Should we be worried about the game being too easy? Now, we have level 34 and level 35 enemies not in the game anymore. Is that going to make it too easy for the top level players?
Yeah, it's going to make the game a whole lot easier for us. But basically, the philosophy behind these changes where it was that once you're min-maxed, the game should be easy. You should be able to destroy everything and walk over any NPC that crosses your path, so to speak. You shouldn't have to hide from a shotgunner because you're afraid that your min-max build might get one-shotted by a single NPC.
Which is ridiculous to think about.
Yeah, so I do think that people should feel powerful at the end game, and Yes, when you have a min-max build with 400k DPS or 700k toughness or something, you should be able to walk over those enemies. But yeah, at the end of the day, the game is going to get a bit easier.
It's going to be really interesting to see, too, before the famous stat was the 0.01% or 0.01, 3% of chances to get the kind of gear that you want because of all the different talents and skills involved. It'll be really interesting to see either A, are they going to help that along by helping us re-roll? I'm sure you know some things that you can't talk about, but are they going to help us re-roll some of that, or just because the amount of loot that we're getting, is it going to make it easier for us to optimize our build?
I don't think that it's going to be such a big issue to get. You're still going to have to work for it, and it's still going to come down to RNG. But I think players are going to like what we did with the gear.
Awesome.
Can't say much more.
No, I figured one of the things that they talked about the other day too is bringing the gear sets down to normalized gear set scores, and so there's no 191. 268, that kind of, they're going to break it in line in the 163, 182, 204, and 229. In a lot of ways, that means that high-end gear, armor and gloves and all that stuff is going to be in play again. Is that something that you're interested in looking forward to, of mixing in some of that high-end gear, not just Savage gloves and Reckless chest? Is it going to be interesting to see how that high-end armor...
If they're going to want to do that, because Savage, Reckless, Vigorous, Tenacious, those kind of talents, those are good. There's also some cool ones on the backpack, I believe, for more skill power when you're at full health, or healing also applies to skill objects. But for the majority, I don't think that those talents are all too good, especially the ones on the knee pads. I mean, more kill XP or credits per kill, that's just not something that you're really looking forward to at the end game, especially not if you're looking for getting a PvP build. So for high ends are going to be valuable again. They already were good even before they got the buff. So Reckless is still going to be good. Tenacious is still going to be good. Vigorous as well. Savage as well. All those things are still going to be impactful on builds. But if they want to make other high ends also viable, they have to get better talents for those. I don't think that we're going to see somebody running around with a full high end build anymore. Like when the game just came out, it's just not worth it.
Okay, we're going to play a little trivia, or not trivia game, but kind of question answer about some specific guns. What if you could pick one gun that you could use all the time, and then one gun you never want to use? What would those things be? What would those guns be? What's your favorite and least favorite gun to use?
You know that I'm not a gun person at all. My favorite gun in the game is the one that does the most damage, and I really don't care how it looks or how it sounds. Right now, I really like using the L86, if that's what you're asking, simply because it does a lot of damage, has a high headshot multiplier, very accurate. I just like the weapon overall, so I play with it. It does 30% damage out of cover. But I don't know. I don't have a gun like, I don't want to use that gun because it looks ugly. Like, if it has enough damage numbers, then yeah, I'll take it.
Then it works. We've heard a lot of, kind of joking around, people saying, they love to use the SVD just because it sounds nice. So I don't know. Some of us have guns that we really like to handle, even though maybe they're not the best damage output.
I can see that. I like the SVD as well.
What about gear sets? Is there a gear set? I mean, again, you like to use the best gear set for the numbers. Is there a gear set now that you just say, why is this gear set even in the game? I mean, hopefully it's getting changed, but do you see one that you just say, I don't understand? Well,
Reclaimer. I don't like the consumable thing. Of course, it's just so OP. But hey, hopefully that's getting changed.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be really interesting. Again, they haven't even gone into gear set changes or gun changes or skill changes, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how many things are changed between now and 1.4.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be very surprised to see all the things that are coming, because for a lot of people 1.4 was supposed to be a fix to the game, not necessarily a rework. Everybody wanted the bugs to be fixed and the game to work properly, But there's going to be done much more than that, as you've already seen with the world tier system and the time to kill and that kind of stuff.
I mean, just completely changing and reworking the game, like you said.
Yeah.
I wonder if why do you think they did it now? Now, before they did the weapon balancing, but that also came out with new content of the Underground. Why do you think they paused now to do it and not before or later on?
I think they had the idea that maybe they could fix it in between or with the patches, but that didn't seem to work out. So they decided at one point, no, we just need to take the time to fix the game. And that's what they're doing right now.
Okay, so 1.4 is coming out sometime in October. We don't know specific dates yet.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my guess is we're not going to see it before the 20th. I don't even know the dates, but it just seems like they have way too much work to get it out in the first half of October.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm not sure when it's going to come out either, and I'm pretty sure that if I knew, I wasn't allowed to tell you.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think you're going to have to be looking at somewhere at the end of the month.
Yeah, I wonder if it's even going to get pushed back into November. Because, again, they're committed to making it good and reworking the game. So it's just going to be interesting to see what that looks like as the time gets closer.
It depends on how the PTR is received as well. If the PTR has a whole lot of issues that they maybe hadn't thought about yet, then yes, maybe it will get pushed back another month just to fix all the things and make sure that it works like the way it's supposed to.
I'm assuming you're going to be streaming the PTS server.
Yes.
When it comes out next week.
Yes, definitely. I'm gonna.
Awesome.
Does it come out next week?
They said something that it's probably coming out next week, but probably coming out is interesting word usage. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
What should we be doing before 1.4? We're still in 1.3. We're not getting any of these changes until 1.4 actually comes out. What should I be doing? Is it worth me leveling up my Underground or running incursions or getting gear?
Personally, it's just getting as much gear sets that can still be rerolled. Because I don't know exactly what they're doing to all the stats. Like, I know I have some ideas, but I kind of know what direction they're going, but nothing is set in stone yet. It was never set in stone when I left Massive. So I'm just getting as many raw pieces, seeing how they change after the patch, and then, seeing how I can, kind of sort of rebuild my character that way.
Man, you're going to have a lot of work to do after 1.4 hits.
Yeah, man.
That's exciting.
A whole new best in slot video guide.
Oh, I am so excited. Side note, are you surprised some of those videos? I was looking at them the other day. That best in slot video has gotten like 250,000 views.
Yeah, that's crazy. I always thought the Division was more of a casual audience, but if you look at so many people that want to min-max their build, there's still a lot of people that are apparently sort of hardcore-ish, sort of, just a bit. So that surprised me.
Has your channel, what's the traffic been on your channel recently?
There has been a decline, of course, because there's less people playing the Division now because the game is in a bad state. So less people are playing the game, so less people are watching the videos. That's usually what it comes down to. Although I don't really feel like it's been that bad, I still get a good amount of views. Just looking at stats, it's just nowhere near as big as that it was at launch, which is quite obvious.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like, a lot of the hardcore subscribers, a lot of the hardcore players still visit the channel, still comment, still do all those things. So I don't think it's a problem whatsoever.
It's going to be really interesting to see what the player base looks like after 1.4 hits. I mean, we know there's going to be a spike around the update, but is it going to sustain people through the end of the year?
That is what I'm also wondering.
You have Destiny coming out. You have, another Call of Duty. All these games. I don't know the other big games, but I know there's a couple big ones happening in the fall and winter, and so it would be really interesting.
There's going to be a lot of competition. I'm also very interested to see how that's going to play out. I hope for the best, but we'll see.
I did too. I really like the game so far. Obviously, it has some issues, but I like the bones of the game. It's a really fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, where can we find you? Where can we find your videos? Where can we connect with you?
Somewhere on the internet, deep in the dark web. No, you can just hit me up on my YouTube channel, Marco Stellanel. Pretty sure if you type that in, you'll be able to find me. And then if you're really needy of getting in contact with me, you can also hit up my Twitter, which is Marco Stellanel again. That's how you hit me up.
Do you stream too, Marco?
Sometimes. I haven't really started like really getting into streaming yet. I really want to start when the 1.4 patch drops, but streaming is kind of difficult for me because the YouTube videos take so much time. It takes so much research to find all the things out, to make the script, to put the video together. That I usually, after 8 hours of editing videos, I'm just kind of done. I don't want to stream. You know, it's like I'm tired.
I want to sleep.
Yeah,
I would be too.
I just want to just watch on Netflix and that's it. And if I stream the whole day, like I say, if I stream like 4 or 5 hours, then that's really gonna cut in how much videos I can make. And then people are like, "Hey, nice streams, but when's the next video coming out?"
Be like, "Shut up, man! I'm just playing."
It's like I can only do one. So, but if you wanna follow me on Twitch for when I'm gonna start streaming, when the 1.4 hits, when the PTR drops, twitch.tv/MarcoStelNL. Same as my YouTube, same as my Twitter.
Awesome. So, what do you watch on Netflix?
I think I'm watching Narcos right now, if that's how you pronounce it. It's
nice. Yes, season 2 just came out, didn't it?
Yeah, that's how I found out about it. It's like new episodes of this show that I've never watched. And I'm like, yeah, let's watch season 1 first.
Cocaine and heroin and guns.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Well, I've only seen the cocaine so far. No spoilers, please.
Okay. I don't actually know if there's heroin in it, but I know there's lots of coke.
Yes, there's lots of coke.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much for being on, Marco. I've really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, it was great. No problem, dude. Anytime.
Hey, listeners, thanks so much for listening. Come check out Dark Zone Report. And if you're looking for other podcasts, we're going to be switching up some streams. And so Engage and Checkpoint and Chill and the JUI cast are going to be finding different channels. And so go check out darkzonereport.com or just type in DZR Gaming in your podcast search. And if you want to email us, check out dzrarmory@gmail.com. We love to connect with you. Hit us up on Twitter at DZR. And like I said, Marco, thanks so much for being on. And I'm sure we'll catch up with you sometime soon.
Definitely.